Hi everyone, you're with Lucy from Artshed Angel, and today I'm going to show you one of my new stamps. So I have created a set of background stamps. These are great for watercolorists, they're great for stamping, they're great for many mixed media projects, and I'm just going to show you some of the things you can do with them today. So join me, I'll just show you what we're doing. Okay, so I have created a set of polymer stamps. Now, there's some ones that are created for background, some are for filling in colour, some are for decorative edges. They're great if you're an art journaler or a junk journaler. These stamps are absolutely perfect. So they are only available through my website, which is artshedangel.com. So if you like my videos and you want to see more of what I do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do with these right now. So for those of you who are jelly plate enthusiasts, you can certainly use it with your jelly plates as well. But I'm just going to show you what they look like to start off with. So obviously, if you haven't used these kinds of stamps before, you do need an acrylic block to put them on. And there's a couple of different types. So this one's considered a texture stamp. So I've done this with a special, very special edge so that you can use it to create textures. So I'm using the Distress Oxide ink pads because they work really lovely with it. And you can see there that creates a nice texture. But what the beautiful thing is that you can use it like a paintbrush. So you can just go and you can lighten areas by not re-inking, you can darken areas by re-inking, and you get this really lovely, soft kind of fill in. So that's that little tiny one there. Now these are great because you just wipe them down with a baby wipe or a damp cloth and it takes the ink off. Now you can use these with acrylics. If I use them with acrylic paint, I tend to have a little bucket of water and I drop them into the bucket of water to clean them off. So you can see there we've just coloured that in with that ink pad. Now I'm going to change to my mermaid. Now this one here, you do need a slightly bigger block for it, but this one's really great because it has a beautiful round kind of pattern. I wanted some ink pads that did, some stamps that did all sorts of patterns. So I'm going to stamp that a little bit over the one and see how we've got that lovely. It's almost, you could use it as a rose. You could actually stamp it in pink and make it a rose on a very sort of lovely scrapbook background. So these stamps do lend themselves to scrapbook images as well. So this one is particularly nice for that. And the second stamp, you can see there, you can actually stamp them quite a few times before you run out of ink. So you can imagine a background just done with these circles. So I'm just going through first to show you what each one looks like, and then I'll do a little quick project with it. So that's the round one. Now, there is one here that it's quite solid, and this one here is more for sticking things on, and I'm going to use a smaller block for that one. And let's change to a different colour. Of course, you can use many different ink pads. You don't have to use these distress ink pads. You can definitely use your any of your dye ink pads. Now this one here is particularly nice because you get a nice block. So if you wanted to put a photo or a picture or do a drawing in that, or you wanted to create a card where, let's say, you've got a few layers. So by just doing this a couple of times, you can create a soft pattern that you could easily do a whole background on a scrapbook page or in your junk journal. So this one here is one of my favorites because there's so much you can do with it. Now, then we've also got our long one, and this one here is for filling in bits. And believe me, you do have those times where you can put words. Sometimes if you want to put a tag and put a word on it, and this is just for filling in areas, but you can also create patterns. So if you wanted to create a pattern on a page, I didn't ink that up properly, but if you wanted to create a pattern on a page, you can do it that way. Now, because these ink pads are slightly curved, you do need to just make sure that there's enough ink, so that's fine. Okay, I'll just fix that one, but you could leave it like that as well. And this one here, you could do little lines in different colours and that as well. I really do like that. Now, for those who like the idea of being able to use your stamp to colour, I've created also a bigger one. So let's say you wanted to do quite a bit of colour on an other edge. You can ink this one up and it goes very quickly. So if you're a scrapbooker and you wanted to get a lot of colour happening very quickly, this is the perfect way to do it. And of course, just on its own, I'll just stamp it up there, just on its own, it's a nice shape that you could use to put lots of things on. Create leaves around that rose that I was just talking about. So that's that texture. There's something really nice about having lots of textures to use. Now this one here, the dots, I particularly like, and I'm going to use this festive berries for my dots because they are really nice. I believe your stamps should also be tools, so you can see there, how cool is that? Now you could continue to do the bottom of a page. Forget about the fact that I've got green here, but you could definitely decorate the bottom of a scrapbook page or a journal page very quickly with this little dot set. So this one here is great. Can't say I don't like any of them, to be honest. And then this one, just going to give you a show. This one is a kind of like bricks, but not like bricks too. So I'm just going to show you quickly. And again, I'm doing this over the top of what I've already got, so it's not necessarily the colour scheme that we might want to use, but you can see here you can join these together to create like a brick pattern. Just make them a little random. So that one there is a terrific art journaling one when you need to do a bit of mark making and get some shapes. So I'm doing these in colours that don't necessarily go together. Okay, now there's a couple that just need a slightly bigger block, so you will need to use both sizes or another size in your stamping blocks. Okay, let's do some purple. So this one here is a terrific kind of, it's just a simple pattern, because sometimes when you want a border on something, and especially if you're using these kind of ink blocks that you can see through, you can see that it almost creates a checkered border, and it has lots of different uses as well. Any of them can be used to colour with. You can just see here, I'm just going over my lovely red dots, but you can see that any of them can be used as a colouring tool. So I'm going to take that one off. Nearly getting to the end of them. It's quite a substantial set. I really wanted to make something that had just about everything that you would need in your tools. And these are actually photopolymer, so they're quite durable. They're a little stickier than some of the stamps you get, but that is a good thing. Now this one is one of my favorites, so it's one that I think I'm going to use lots and lots. So you've got your little swirls. Now you can do a swirl on its own, or you can do a group of swirls. And you can see there a group of swirls on a page looks fantastic too. And it really does extend the use. You know, sometimes when you need that paper, you're looking for that exact right paper for your scrapbooking, or that color that you don't have, but you might have an ink pad or even a felt pen. You can use your felt pens on these as well and use them to color. Now I'm getting to the end of it, but let me see what color. Let's do the blue again. This one here is terrific for not just mark making. Okay, you can see that there. Yeah, I'll turn this over, we're getting so busy. This one is also a great border. So if you're looking to put a border on something, you've got a really nice stamp that you can continue a border around something. So I'm a lover of borders, and I think that having some stamps that you can create a border in whatever color you want is fantastic. So I think I'm coming to the very last one, which is truly an art journaling one. And I'll just use it on this side again and put it down the middle there. You can see this could already be an art journaling page, couldn't you? You could be stamping this on tissue paper or whatever you like. Hang on, we'll just get a good stamping of that. And you can see by layering them how quick it is to make some terrific backgrounds. So I'm going to do one more very simple page using them, and this time I'm going to do some colouring, I'm going to do some blending, and I'm going to use a spray bottle with it. So you can do many things, and I'm just going to start with this brick one, and I'm going to fill a bit of the background with this. Well, it's not really a brick, it's kind of just a texture. And I'm going to use a stencil on it this time. So I've just got a little bit of texture happening to start off with. Then I want to add a bit of colour as well with this particular same colour. So I'm just going to use this colour block, and I'm just putting a bit of colour down, and that kind of marries those shapes together, which is something we want to do here. Okay, clean that off. Now I'm going to add the other, oops, I'm going to use the Mermaid Lagoon because we're going to put a girl on it, and I think the Mermaid Lagoon is perfect. Okay, I'm going to use a bit more of this one. I do love this one. This is one of my favourites. I keep saying that about all of them, don't I? But I really do love textures. And put one there. I will clean them all properly when I'm finished, I promise. Now I'm going to add a little bit of purple. So with the purple, I think I'm going to do some of these purple dots. It's a lot of colour, isn't it? So I'm going to add a little bit of purple here and there. Now if you stamp it and you get blue back on it, just stamp it off so that you don't contaminate your ink pad. So a few dots there as well. Okay. And I'm going to put some of these lines on as well. And just have them coming from the side and from the top. just gives a bit of shape to your image. Don't even worry if they ink up completely right every time. A little tiny colouring stamp to just add a little bit of colour around the edges. Just this little colouring stamp works fantastic when you just need that little hint of colour. Okay, now I don't have necessarily all the right colours here, but I'm going to add a little bit of this festive berries. It's probably a bit, I'll do one and see how the colour goes. Yeah, I might put a little bit of that here and there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spray bottle and I'm going to give this a light spray with water. And that just ignites the ink or the paint and really spreads it. So it gets brighter, it gets more vibrant, it kind of blends it. So I'm just going to dry this off. So I've dried it off and it's really, you can see here how they've bled and it softens them off. It just looks great. And I'm just going to go through now with a little bit more of the purple to put some higher definition ones in. And now I'm going to use my stencil. And this is my girl stencil. It's not normally black, but at the moment it's black because I haven't cleaned it properly. And I'm going to use some of this purple and just dab that in. So she's also available on my website. So I'm just doing her lightly to start off with. And I'm not going to do her all in the same colour. So I'm just doing her a little bit with this Distress Oxide. And then do her eyes. Then I'm going to change to a Versaclear ink pad because it's a bit darker. And I'm going to use that for her eyes just to make her a little bit darker. And have a little look at how she's going. You can see she's going really quite well. And always want to make sure her eyes are nice and dark and her cheeks are just a bit darker. Her lips are a little bit darker. And let's have a look. So we've got this lovely girl, and we've got all these beautiful colours around her at the moment, and this is where you can then use your shapes to add, just put a bit of colour where you want to. So I'm just looking at this thinking she just needs a little bit of a complementary colour, so I'm going to use my texture. Actually no, I'm going to use this one here, which is the little triangles, and I want to put in a bit of the complementary colour just to brighten it up. So you can see here you can layer and layer over anything you like, and just like art journaling, you're just doing mark making and creating colour where you want. And then you can finish this off however you like, but I'm going to just put some dark line edging around her. Again, she's available on my page. And by just adding that line, and then you can do her hair however you want. And I'm going to use a brush now, and I'm going to take that brush, and because this ink is fully ignitable still, I'm just going to drag my brush through the ink and just give her hair a bit of darkness. And that will, I will add more lines to that, so just give it a little bit of a dry. Use your pen, put some curls in. And I'm going to use my Signo board, which was on the table. Use my Signo board to add some white highlights. And the beauty of the distress inks, or even if you add watercolors now, I can add some watercolors straight over the top. And I'm going to use a bit of Prussian blue. Check out my watercolor classes too. That's my main thing, watercoloring. And what I'm doing is I'm going straight over the top of the rest of this because I want her face to be the winner here. So I'm just going straight over the top. And darkening it, but I'm not brushing too hard because I don't want to lose these terrific shapes that I have in the background. So I've got all of it glowing through. I'll put a little bit here and a little bit at the top here. And then I'm just going to colour her eyes in. Oops. And we'll finish up with her lips. And if you do things too dark, you just give it a wipe off like that. So there we've got a really simple page. Now I'm going to add some writing in that to the end of it, but we've got a really simple page where we've actually coloured the whole page using these stamps. Now they are only available on my website. They are made by me here, so if you want them or if you're interested and you're overseas, postage is a little bit expensive, but I can say that it is worth getting a set of them if you can. And the stencil's also available on my website. So if you enjoyed this, if you think that you would love to use some of these stamps, you can imagine doing a journal page that was like that. How pretty is that? So if you've always looked for something to do your scrapbooking, your junk journals and all of those things, make sure that you check them out on my website at artshedangel.com. They will be on the main page at the moment. And thank you. You're with Lucy. Make sure you click that subscribe button.